In progress.
A pleasant day to our professor, Dr. Russell Jim Tamayo, and to my fellow classmates. Today, I am going to share with you my topic about public-private partnership. In this lecture, we will tackle the definition, the elements, and advantages of public-private partnership. But before that, we're going first to define what is the three P's. Public-private partnership can be broadly defined as a contractual agreement between the government and a private firm targeted towards financing, designing, implementing, and operating infrastructure facilities and services that were traditionally provided by the public sector. Another definition, it embodies optimal risk allocation between the parties, minimizing cost while realizing project developmental objectives. Thus, the project is to be structured in such a way that the private sector gets a reasonable rate of return on its investment. Also, we have this particular definition. PPP offers monetary and non-monetary advantages for the public sector. It addresses the limited funding resources for local infrastructure or development projects of the public sector and thereby allowing the allocation of public funds for other local priorities. It is a mechanism to distribute project risks to the both public and private sectors. Now we're going to tackle about the elements of public-private partnership. The first element is what we call shared responsibility. Both the public and private sectors share the responsibility for delivering and managing the project of service, and they work together to achieve common goals and objectives. The second element is what we call project financing. The private sector contributes funds for the project, either partially or wholly, alongside the public sector's financial resources. This financial partnership ensures that the project receives adequate funding. Next element is risk sharing. Risks associated with the project are shared between the public and private sectors. These include risks related to construction, operation, and maintenance of the project. By sharing risk, the burden is distributed, and each party can focus on areas where they have expertise. Now, we also have what we call transfer of assets. In some PPP models, the private sector may assume ownership or partial ownership of the project assets during the project's operational phase. This transfer of assets can be temporary or permanent, depending on the agreement. We also have the next element, which is performance-based contracts. PPPs often involve performance-based contracts where the private sector is held accountable for delivering specified outcomes and meeting predefined performance targets. These contracts help ensure efficiency and effectiveness in the project delivery and operations. The next element is what we call innovation and efficiency. The private sector's involvement brings innovation, expertise, and efficiency to the project, benefiting from their experience and market-driven approach. This collaboration aims to improve service, delivery, and optimize resource utilization. The next element is what we call long-term partnerships. PPPs are typically long-term partnerships that extend beyond the project's construction phase. The public and private sectors collaborate throughout the project's life cycle, including operation, maintenance, and sometimes even financing. We also have what we call transparency and accountability. PPPs require transparency and accountability from both sectors. Clear governance structures, reporting mechanisms, and monitoring systems are established to ensure that the project operates in the public interest and meets the agreed upon standards. We also have what we call public interest safeguards. PPPs prioritize public interest and ensure that that the project or service remains affordable, accessible, and equitable to the public. Safeguards are implemented to protect public rights, maintain service quality, and prevent potential misuse of public resources. It's important to note that the specific elements of a PPP can vary depending on the project, jurisdiction, and the nature of the partnership agreements. These elements provide a general framework for understanding the key components of a typical PPP. So those are the elements of public-private partnership. Now we go to the advantages of public-private partnership. First one, PPPs encourage the injection of private sector capital, and PPPs make projects affordable. Government spending will be less if the project is undertaken as a PPP, since the private sector funds their share of the project, including operation and maintenance, during the duration of the concession. PPP projects consider the whole of life costing approach, or what we call the whole life cycle costing, which ultimately lower capital and operating costs. All PP projects undergo a competitive, transparent bidding. PPP project proponents usually provide the most effective capital goods necessary for the project. Another advantage, PPPs deliver value for money. Value for money, or what we call VFM, is achieved when the government obtains the maximum benefit from the goods and services it both acquires and provides. It is the best available outcome after taking into account all the benefits, cost, and risk over the entire project life, which may not necessarily be the lowest cost or price. Another advantage, in PPPs, each risk is allocated to the party who can best manage or absorb it. In PPPs, risks are assumed by the party that is best able to manage and assume the consequences of the risk involved. PPPs enable the government to take on fewer risks due to shared risk allocation. Generally, the private sector takes on the project's life cycle cost risk, while the government assumes a site risk, legislative, and government policy risk, among others. Another advantage, PPPs force the public sector to focus on outputs and benefits from the start. Project preparation activities are more rigorous in public-private partnerships. This ensures that the project is highly bankable and can stand public scrutiny. Better project preparation and execution will result in adherence to project design within the agreed timelines. In PPPs, the government focuses on providing quality infrastructure and services by setting each project's minimum performance standards and specifications. Another advantage, with PPPs, the quality of service has to be maintained for the entire duration of the cooperation period. In PPPs, project execution will be more rigorous as project ownership belongs to the project proponents. The public sector only pays when services are delivered satisfactorily. And the last one, PPPs encourage innovation. PPPs maximize the use of private sector skills. It also utilizes higher level of private sector efficiency, specialization, and technology. I am going to share to you this particular visual about the public-private partnership pros and cons. So we have the benefits in this particular column, and the other column is we have the disadvantages. So one benefit, it better infrastructure solution than an initiative that is wholly public or wholly private. Another benefit, faster project completions and reduced delays on infrastructure projects. And the return of investment might be greater than projects with traditional all private or all government fulfillments. And last benefit, risks are fully appraised early to determine project feasibility. The disadvantages, it can increase government cost, limit the competitiveness required for cost-effective partnering. It profits of the project can vary depending on the assumed risk, the level of competition, and the complexity and scope of the project. And the losses advantage, if the expertise in the partnership lies heavily on the private side, the government is at an inherent disadvantage. Another visual that I'm going to share to you is this one. So that's the end of my talk. Thank you for listening to me. These are my references or resources. Have a great day.